Hey guys, it's Booligan with Airsoft Retreat, BooliganAirsoft.com, and Airsoft Insider Magazine. You may recall a few weeks ago we took a look at the ThruNite Archer 2A version 2. This AA battery powered LED flashlight is compact, it's very lightweight, it's pretty slim, and it makes a pretty good everyday carry light. Now, we also got a Fenix LD22, which is also a lightweight, AA powered, pretty compact, pretty lightweight, slimline, everyday carry type flashlight. So figured we would go ahead and do a comparison between the two, look at some of the pros and cons between these two different models. Now, physically they have a pretty similar layout. They have end cap activation with both temporary and the ability to lock it. And they have a button on the side which allows you to cycle through the different brightness settings as well as access the strobe function. They both have a scalloped front edge. They both come with a variety of spare parts, including O-rings, and they come with clips that you can use for your pocket. They're both pretty lightweight. They both have about an hour and a half run time at the highest setting, but that's kind of where the two diverge. Power output and price are the two big differences between these two. The ThruNite is generally around $35, whereas the Fenix is almost $20 more at $55. But that's okay. $20 more, you'd expect it to have higher performance. And you would be wrong. The ThruNite actually is rated at around 400 lumens at its maximum output, whereas the Fenix is a little bit over 200 at its highest output. The battery life in the Fenix is slightly longer at the highest setting, obviously, but the ThruNite is almost twice as powerful. The build and the quality on them appears to be pretty similar. They both fit your hand very well. They both have a nice finish on them. They both have nicely textured gripping surfaces. The electronics in them both seem to be good. They react pretty well to your inputs, but yeah, that price difference is a pretty big deciding factor between these two. We're going to go outside and we're going to take a look at them side by side and actually see how they compare. But in my opinion, thus far, in my testing with these over the last few weeks, I've been a little bit more impressed with the ThruNite, especially given the fact that it's $20 cheaper than the Fenix. The big question is going to be how well they hold up to torture testing, and we're going to have to do a little torture testing later on with these. But for now, let's do a quick comparison, go outside, and see how they perform. Okay, now it's dark, obviously, as you can see, and we are going to go ahead and do some comparison testing between the two flashlights. On the left, you have the Fenix. On the right, you have the ThruNite. So, the colors, first thing you notice, are different. The Fenix has a whiter, more neutral light as opposed to the ThruNite, which has a more neutral as opposed to the cooler light. But the interesting part is that the ThruNite is supposed to be a cool white. It's a cool white model. And while it's whiter than their other flashlight that I've tested, it still is not necessarily as white as the Fenix. It's hard to pick up on film, but the ThruNite is brighter. I mean, it's a fair bit brighter, but because of the color temperature, this one appears to be a little bit brighter than the ThruNite, the Fenix does. But the throw, and we'll take a look at that in a second, is definitely different between the two. Okay, now let's go ahead and do a throw test around 100 feet. First up, you've got the Fenix. Now, the ThruNite. Fenix, ThruNite, Fenix, ThruNite. Both of them. So the throw between the two of them, relatively similar. The color is still discernible, but that ThruNite still just seems to throw out a little bit broader pattern with a less defined hot spot. You can see the hot spot on the Fenix, but it seems to be a little bit less defined, a little bit broader, which may be better for an everyday carry light, just depending on what you're looking for in a flashlight. Now let's, of course, got to go do the water resistance test. Well, here we have a
different kiddie pool than we normally have because the other one sprung a leak. So let's go ahead and chuck these in. Hooray, they're both water resistant as advertised. Alright, we've tested their water resistance. Now let's test their impact resistance. They both get tossed pretty well. Here in the harsh, unforgiving light of the ThruNite Archer 2A, you can see, performance-wise, they're both pretty comparable. Big difference is the ThruNite is brighter, as opposed to the Fenix, which is slightly less bright. The big difference then becomes the price. In my opinion, I still think that the ThruNite is the better buy, considering it's about $20 less, and the performance excels in almost every way. Many thanks for watching.